Newly discovered Michigan selection corruption parallels Georgia. So Michigan's got some V registration fraud. The entire state of Michigan owes a special thank you to the Gateway pundits Jim Hoff, Patty McMurray, Ben Wetmore, Dr. Phil O'Halloran, Braden Giacobacci, and Ann Maish for the recent bombshell revelations of massive amounts of fraudulent voter registrations and the ensuing cover-up by the Michigan State Police and the FBI. Hold on. Okay, so we already talked about that 3 weeks ago. If you want to know more about that Michigan fraud, look for it on my selection fraud channels 2020. They're there. After publishing the report that exposed a massive cover-up, that's what all this is that I skipped. Okay, it's the stuff that's going on in Michigan. After publishing the report, and by the way, on the channel that this is going to be on, the 2020 selection fraud channel, I have playlists that you can click on and separated by state. You can just click Michigan and bam, you'll find all the Michigan videos. Okay, you find all the Georgia videos, you find all the Arizona videos, things like that. So after publishing the report that exposed a massive cover-up by Michigan's Dummycrat attorney Dana Nessel and Jocelyn Benson of an explosive statewide investigation by the Michigan State Police, Muskegon Police Department, we began to receive tips from individuals who read our story and wanted to help us close the gaps in the highly redacted Michigan State Police report. Today, the TGP reprinted a blockbuster article from Georgia that parallels the fraud in Michigan. The author, Chris Gleason, and a contributor from the Epoch Times, Stephen Kovac, along with help from Wisconsin's Election Watch, Peter Bragner. Georgia, okay, so this next section is called Georgia Selection Fraud and Money Laundering. The article states, in the lead up to the 2022 midterm selections, my team uncovered a massive money laundering network of campaign finance contributions being made via ActBlue. One of the top beneficiaries of this money laundering RICO enterprise was none other than Georgia Senator Raphael Warnock. It further states, working with Epoch Times investigative journalist Stephen Kovac, we made a stunning find. Many of the top ActBlue contributors never made the individual contributions. Many of these not employed individual contributors were the victims of a highly sophisticated money laundering scheme. We actually, James O'Keefe with his new organization, O'Keefe Media Group, OMG, actually did some undercover work with this. One of his undercover people, and they would go to houses that show all these large donations, and then they say, "Did you donate this much money to?" He's like, "No, I've never donated to any presidential campaign." So in other words, they're donating on these people's behalf because you're limited to a certain dollar amount. And they do it multiple tens of thousands of times, and it generates millions of dollars in campaign contributions for a particular candidate, right? The scheme was further exposed when I provided the data to James O'Keefe and his people at O'Keefe Media Group and captured many unwitting money laundering Smurfs in Maryland. Okay, the one I remember seeing was in California, so Maryland's doing the same thing. This massive ongoing money laundering operation involves wire fraud, evasion of campaign finance limits, structuring of financial transactions, tax fraud, nonprofit fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. The RICO operation is still in operation today, in using the identities of unwitting elderly and other Dummycrat voters. This massive RICO money laundering enterprise is the fuel for the entire selection fraud RICO operation. Now we're going to Michigan. Michigan money laundering as related to selection fraud. Today, Bob Cushman, reporter for the Freedom Press, began to follow the money of the Muskegon, Michigan voter registration fraud to see if he could begin to duplicate the kind of money laundering that was discovered in Georgia. The results are as follows. I'm not going to go through this. This chart is a bit complicated, so we'll explain. Open Secrets reports that during 2020 campaign cycle, the following entities funded GBI strategies. Oh, look at that. All of these, huh? JB for President, Black PAC, Black Church PAC, Julian for the Future, League of Conservation Voters, Democratic Party of Iowa, DNC Services Corp, Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. All these organizations donated to GBI strategies, who were responsible for all the fraudulent V registrations in Michigan. And not just Michigan, they operate in 20 states. So Michigan is just what we've uncovered so far. Now they're probably gonna start digging into all the other states. 8 known Smurfs were used to follow the money. It was found that all 8 Smurfs contributed money to these organizations. All of the Smurfs met the typical Smurf definition of large total dollar amount of donations, large number of donations, small average donation, and elderly with majority out of state. I don't know what that last one means. Elderly with majority out of state. Anyways, the 8 Smurfs average giving $57,000 each with 9,300 donations each, while only averaging $10.50 per donation. The average age of the Smurfs was 74 years old. This precisely fits the MO of the established Smurf impersonations by the persons or the entities that have stolen these seniors' identities for illegal, illicit purpose. The current working theory is that FEC and or ActBlue and the consultant company known as GMMB are complicit in this money laundering that is believed to be over $200 million and possibly into the billions. The belief is that these 8 Smurfs, along with tens of thousands of other Smurfs, have laundered massive amounts of money into the entire FEC system, as well as state campaign coffers, as previously shown below. So I'm going to go through that document. It currently appears that Michigan's fraudulent V-registration efforts, as covered up by Dana Nessel and the FBI, along with massive money laundering that is being exposed, will qualify this as a RICO operation. Ooh, imagine if the FBI goes down for RICO. That'd be amazing. As in the Georgia case, this massive ongoing money laundering operation involves wire fraud, evasion of campaign finance limits, structuring of financial transactions, tax fraud, nonprofit fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse.